Hello, friends. Today we're going to listen to some amazing love stories between gods. Love, jealousy, impossibilities, overcome difficulties. We will witness all these emotions in our stories. Let's begin by saying that the love of the gods is as great as the gods themselves. Psyche and Eros. In the ancient world, there was a young girl whose beauty captivated everyone. Her name was Psyche. Her beauty was the talk of the town. Some said of her beauty, "This girl is as beautiful as the goddesses. She even overshadows Aphrodite's beauty." These words reached the ears of the goddesses. Aphrodite, the goddess of love, was very angry about these rumors. She was so enraged that she considered punishing the young girl. Aphrodite made her plan. Aphrodite summoned her son Eros. This young god, the master of love arrows, had the power to direct people's hearts as he wished. Aphrodite said to him, "Go and find this girl. Shoot a love arrow into her. But let her fall madly in love with someone so worthless, so wicked, that her beauty becomes her undoing." Eros obeyed his mother and came to the girl. But when he saw Psyche, something different happened. He found her sleeping. The innocence on her face, the light and beauty in her soul, turned Eros's heart upside down. Just as he was about to overwhelm the girl's heart with love, things took a turn for the worse, and the game of fate began. Eros had fallen in love with Psyche. Psyche's beauty was the talk of all the people. However, no one dared to marry this girl, whose beauty rivaled that of the goddesses. Her family was very saddened by this situation, and her father consulted an oracle. The oracle said the gods were angry. Psyche's fate was to have a monster husband. Psyche would be left on a mountaintop, and her monster husband would come to get her. Her family, in tears, left her on the mountaintop. The time came. Psyche waited for her fate with sorrow. But it wasn't a terrifying monster approaching her. It was Eros's invisible wind. With a gentle touch it took her, carried her above the clouds, and brought her to his palace, some Psyche's invisible husband. Psyche awoke in a magnificent palace. Everything here was like a dream. Golden columns, sky-blue rooms, the gentle breeze touching her hair. Every night her husband came to her, spoke to her, but never showed his face. Eros had only one request. "Never want to see me. Don't look at my face. Just know that I love you." At first, Psyche didn't mind. Her husband was full of affection, and Psyche fell in love with her husband. One day, Psyche's sisters came to visit. When they saw the opulent life their sister lived, they became jealous. "This man is definitely deceiving you. There must be a monster under the facade he's hiding," they said. They filled Psyche's mind with doubt. Unable to live with this doubt any longer, one night, with a cowardly act of courage, she held the small oil lamp she held to her husband's face. What she saw was not a monster. Her husband was Eros, the god of love. A drop of oil from the lamp fell on Eros's skin. Eros awoke in pain. His wife's lack of trust deeply shook him, and he vanished. Psyche was left alone. Unable to bear Eros's absence, Psyche traveled the world to find Eros. Finally, she found herself at Aphrodite's door. When Aphrodite saw her, she looked down on her and said, "So my son has given his heart to a mortal. Let's see where this love will lead." Aphrodite gave Psyche difficult tasks. First task, separating mixed seeds. He was asked to separate millions of different seeds, such as lentils, barley, and wheat, in one night. This task was impossible for a single person to do. Ants helped him. In another task, he was asked to collect golden wool from among extremely dangerous rams. a river fairy helped him. The most dangerous mission was descending into the underworld. In this mission, she was asked to bring Persephone's beauty box. This request meant death for the dead, but Psyche overcame this mission as well, and she completed the tasks. Psyche was not supposed to open the box. She was very curious about what was inside the box and opened it. A deep mist from the box knocked her to the ground. Eros was beside his beloved. He looked at her with pure love and stroked her cheeks. "Now I know," said Eros. Eros took his wife to Olympus. He begged Zeus to let his wife live. Zeus made Psyche immortal by giving her ambrosia to drink. Now, nothing could stand in the way of their love. Another story we have is the love between Isis and Osiris. It is the most deeply rooted and greatest love in Egyptian mythology. This magnificent story contains not only love, but also many emotions such as death, jealousy, sibling rivalry, and rebirth. If you're ready, let's listen. Once upon a time, there was an era when the Nile River brought abundance to ancient Egypt, and the colossal pyramids reached the heavens. Osiris and Isis were among the most important gods of this era. Osiris was the god of order and kingship. Isis was the goddess of magic and motherhood. Osiris brought peace and order to Egypt, where he was king. Isis, with her wisdom and compassion, protected her people like a mother. Isis and Osiris were a powerful couple, also soulmates who loved each other very much. This union was so strong that it made even the gods jealous. The Egyptian people lived peaceful days with their king and queen, but this order also had its chaos. That was Seth, the god of chaos. Seth was the brother of Osiris and Isis. He was filled with jealousy, hatred, and anger. He resented his brother Osiris being king and loved by the people because he wanted to be king himself. He was also jealous of the powerful and loving partnership between Osiris and Isis. One day, Seth decided to set a terrible trap. He would prepare a great feast, invite everyone, and catch Osiris there. The time came. Seth prepared a grand feast in honor of the king. At first, the food, the music, everything was wonderful. The gods enjoyed themselves as if it were a normal feast. However, in the center of the table was a special chest, perfectly sized to fit Osiris, decorated with ornaments. This beautiful chest attracted attention. Seth told the guests they were playing a game. Whoever could fit inside the beautiful chest would own it. The gods tried one by one. None of them fit inside. When it was Osiris's turn, the chest fit Osiris perfectly. Seeing this, Seth and his men quickly closed and nailed the lid shut. They sealed the chest and threw it into the Nile River. Osiris drowned. This seemingly harmless grand feast separated Egypt from its king. Isis's journey upon receiving news of her husband's death. Isis's soul was filled with sorrow. But she was the queen of Egypt. She had to stand tall. She had to think of her people. Isis set out on a journey to find her husband's body. She traveled through the desert, along the Nile River, everywhere in search of her husband's body. Finally, one day she found the chest in which Osiris had been trapped, washed ashore on the riverbank. Isis opened the chest and embraced her husband's lifeless body. Isis cast spells to bring her husband back to life. Osiris was partially resurrected, but then Seth suddenly appeared, and he was enraged by what he saw. Wanting to prevent Osiris's resurrection, Seth cut Osiris's body into 14 pieces. He scattered the pieces throughout Egypt. Thus, Isis would never be able to save Osiris again. But Isis did not give up. She and her sister traveled to every corner of Egypt, collecting the pieces. It was a very difficult task. Every piece they found held a glimmer of hope. Isis, with magic and tears, pieced together her husband's remains. For a short time, Osiris came back to life, and so Isis became pregnant with Horus. Osiris was reborn, but Osiris no longer belonged to the world of the living. He had become the king of the underworld. Thus, Osiris could not be destroyed. Our current story is the story of Orpheus and Eurydice, a story I also love very much. The story of love, defying death. Once upon a time in ancient Greece, there lived a man who, when he played his lyre, silenced the wind and the animals. His name was Orpheus. Orpheus's music was so beautiful, it could enchant even the gods. Everyone who listened to his music felt a calmness and warmth in their soul. One day, while Orpheus was walking in the forest, his path crossed with a lonely young girl. This girl was Eurydice. When he first saw her, the world stopped for Orpheus. Eurydice's calm and innocent gaze, her hair flowing in the wind, held Orpheus's heart tightly. Their love was pure and serene. Eurydice found herself in Orpheus's songs. They became soulmates. They married in a simple ceremony. Everything was going well until that day. Shortly after their marriage, Eurydice was bitten by a snake while walking in the meadow. She fell to the ground in agony and died instantly. The forest fell silent. The strings of Orpheus's lyre trembled with sorrow. But Orpheus did not give up on his beloved. To save her from the cold hands of death, he decided to descend into the underworld as a living man. The underworld was filled with dark and soulless shadows. Normally, no mortal could traverse this path alone. Orpheus set out on this path not with a sword, but with his art. He touched the strings of his lyre. The shadows began to listen to him. Suffering souls forgot their pain, finding solace in the music. Cerberus, the three-headed dog guarding the gates of the land of the dead, calmed down upon hearing the music and made way for Orpheus. He continued on his way along the misty paths. Finally, he stood before Hades and Persephone, the rulers of the underworld. Orpheus knelt. He didn't speak. He didn't beg. He simply played his lyre. Orpheus's melody changed the usual order of the underworld. His song was a cry for the love he had lost. His music was so powerful and profound that suffering souls forgot how to cry. Tantalus forgot his thirst. Hades softened. Persephone felt Orpheus's pain. Hades agreed to return Eurydice, but with one condition. Don't turn around and look back. Eurydice will walk behind Orpheus. Orpheus will never look back. And the time came. Hades opened the way. Eurydice walked behind him. She was silent. Orpheus began to walk down the dark path. Each step seemed to take years from his life. He walked, but he could not see his love. This silence planted doubt in Orpheus's heart. Is she really behind me? What if it's all a trick? What if Eurydice is still in the land of the dead? As he approached the exit of the underworld, just a few steps from the light, Orpheus could no longer bear it, and he turned to see his wife. And Eurydice was behind him. Her face brightens, and she reaches out her hand to Orpheus. But because Orpheus broke his promise, Hades' judgment takes effect. The underworld pulls Eurydice in once more. This time there is no turning back. Orpheus's outstretched hand remains suspended in the air. His heart was completely shattered this time. He had lost his love through his own fault. Orpheus no longer played his lyre. His music gave way to silence. The world was now a silent and colorless place for him. The streams no longer flowed. The birds no longer sang. A world without Eurydice was losing its meaning for him a little more each day. And finally, one day, death knocked on Orpheus's door. For him, death meant reuniting with Eurydice. The two lovers were reunited in the underworld. Nothing could separate them anymore. Their love reached eternity,